dozens of shipping containers that fell from a cargo barge offshore.
Human remains from the wreckage of a submersible which imploded in the Atlantic Ocean.
The jaw-dropping dark depths of our water bodies never fail to stun us with their paradoxical nature, holding mysteries, be they ill-fated stories or mesmerizing, yet heart-throbbing ancient remains. Get ready for an underwater journey where a camera captured something shocking that no one was supposed to see. Chain skeletons. The uncharted territory of the ocean is itself chilling, and then there are diving centers that have pledged to make it scarier for us. This diver, while exploring Lake Mead, came across a very creepy sight, a group of human skeletons resting several meters below the water's surface. One of them was locked up in a cage, while two others could be seen sitting on a chair. At first, he thought them to just be artificial models installed for tourist attractions, but people have different speculations over it. According to them, these guys might have been chained in old times and ended up in depths as a punishment. However, the actual story behind them is still unknown. Sunken pilots. Two Polish tourists who decided to dive deep under the water found a sunken submarine. On inspecting it closely, they were shocked to see two skeletons sitting on the front driving seats. After a few predictions based on the current evidence, it was concluded that those weren't the actual skeletons. But we are portraying a true story of an aviation mishap when a flying instructor and a student, while flying above this ocean, unfortunately lost control of their jet and ended up in the dark depths. After retrieving their bodies, authorities decided to put artificial skeletons there in the memory of lost lives. Lost Lady. In 2007, a fisherman exhausted from his daily grind unexpectedly got his fishing hook stuck to an extremely heavy object. What he thought to be a massive catch turned out to be humanoid remains. The story became a hot topic on every news channel that a lady who mysteriously disappeared 16 years ago was finally found.
Investigators say human remains were found in a car pulled from Melton Hill Lake.
Investigations revealed she was a 39-year-old woman whose car unfortunately ended up in the Tennessee lake. However, before any random comments could be made, the victim's family arrived immediately and took away the body for her last farewell. Bumper meteorite. Russia, due to their location near the polar regions, have a large number of lakes always filled with large ice rocks. But this time it was a Chelyabinsk meteorite.
The eyes of the world today stunned by this image. This was debris from a meteor racing toward Earth, streaking across the sky there, crashing into the ground in those woods.
The meteorite entered Russia on February 15, 2013, and induced a major shock wave that caused massive destruction. Although scientists collected 53 samples from around the hole on the same day, there was still much to be discovered. On October 16th, divers in Russia discovered the largest chunk of meteorite lying 65 feet underwater.
Scientists are studying a giant space rock this morning after pulling it from a lake on Wednesday.
This enormous rock was estimated to be weighing over half a ton when dragged from the bottom. This piece was believed to be the largest space rock to hit the Earth. A shell sword. A diver happened to find a 900-year-old ancient sword of the Israelites. Now, do not tell me that it is a random finding. People said it out loud that the diver was a chosen knight for having discovered this sacred sword.
It was amazing to see a beautiful sword like this.
The sword, made of worthy iron, was hardly shorter than its finder, extremely heavy and swollen with seashells, which proved its loyalty among its neighborhood.
Actually, it's heavy, okay? It's heavy because of the stones that glue to it, and that will also give us more information.
The explorer excitedly mentioned that he would take the sword to a laboratory, clean off its rust, and probably find the name of its owner engraved on it.
Maybe there is a name written on it, maybe there is a decoration.
Meanwhile, the Treasury Department was more than willing to owe their ancient belongings and ask for its presence in their museum. Shipwrecks. If you are a person who loves to explore actual war facts and happenings, then this finding is surely for you. It is from the 7-year-long German-Danish War that happened in 1864 and is famous for its taking of hold of the Baltic region and its major trade of great ships. During the various explosions done during the war, various ships got wrecked and found their permanent home underground. This destroyed and defeated ship, resting deep down at the depths of 250 feet, is still in remarkable condition, thanks to the ingredients of the Baltic Sea, which include coal and very dark water in which objects remain unrusted even after years of their demise. Often, the objects destroyed by cruel human actions are preserved in the arms of loving nature. Giant helmet. That is huge. When I first saw that, I just couldn't believe my eyes, and I think most of you couldn't too. A helmet larger than a whole human? This video quickly went viral as it supported different theories related to giants. A lot of people started assuming that some Greek giant might have lost a battle on this ocean's edge and ended up in the depths, while others suggested that Ares was fighting with the underwater devils and forgot to take his helmet. But along with the great awe stood great confusion, as some cynics debated that it was an artificial artifact kept underwater to create curiosity among the tourists. What's your take on it? Don't forget to tell us by commenting below. Woolly mammoth. The Russian Arctic has always been world famous for its weather conditions. Indeed, they are harsh enough to engulf a mammoth, and one of them was discovered 4 years back. An adult woolly mammoth that roamed the world about 100,000 years ago was found in the shallows of North Siberian Lake. Unluckily, the mammoth's body parts had disintegrated. Only the condyle and lower tibia were found intact in its skeleton.
Russian paleontologists have discovered preserved skeleton of a woolly mammoth with elements of its musculature still intact.
According to the scientists, even though the mammoth was not discovered as a whole, they could still investigate a lot about its living. The research team is hopeful to find the other bones, which could be helpful in studying these prehistoric creatures. The dancing eels. The Gulf of Aqaba in the Red Sea has always been famous for its distinguished findings, and this time too, it did not fail to amuse its explorers. Shake a little left and shake a little right, shake a little high and shake a little low. These dancing eels are a perfect sight and sight. Well, not really dancing, but that's just the water current affecting them. Staying in a question mark shape when the currents are high, they stand straighter in lower flow and eat the zooplankton, which is the main source of food for them, and have also organized an ambushing colony for the fish floating over the seafloor, where the garden eels are often seen hiding to attack a fish slightly bigger than the planktons. Titan remains. Tragedies have always been a part of human life, be it Titanic or Titans. This video shows the recovery of the doomed Titan submarine, hinting at having human remains inside it.
The US Coast Guard believes it's recovered human remains from the wreckage of a submersible which imploded in the Atlantic Ocean.
The wrecked Titan was found lying 13,000 feet deep in the water. On bringing out the Titan's structural parts to the shore, the nose section became a major part of concern as its window and the metallic ring tightened around it to ensure security were missing. The mechanics and other submarine designers had their stance that the Titan was constructed with flaws that went unnoticed before landing it in the water. It was due to its terrible making that the drivers lost their lives.
The U.S. Coast Guard says debris from the Titan has been brought to the surface from the ocean floor.
The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
Negligence gotta pay a heavy price with no refunds. That's a life rule, my fellows. Lost alien balls. Be ready, fellows, the unknown is among us. Harvard professor Avi Loeb, during his $1.5 million expedition, discovered a mysterious meteor.
But a group of researchers at Harvard University think they may have found alien technology here on Earth.
He believed that the meteor either had an interstellar origin or was designed by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Upon surveying, it was mentioned that the 0.5 millimeter in size iron balls were made out of steel titanium alloy, much stronger than iron found in ordinary meteors. Loeb carefully packed them in a suitcase and exported them to a science laboratory in 2019. The otherworldly fragment was named IM-1.
Its speed outside the solar system was 60 kilometers per second, faster than 95% of all stars in the vicinity of the Sun.
For its intense velocity of traveling 95% faster than other stars and exploding quite lower in the Earth's atmosphere. Mayan relics. In 2018, a team of divers uncovered the entrance to the world's largest cave system in Mexico, stretching an astonishing 216 meters. But this isn't just a geological marvel, it's a portal to a forgotten chapter of history. This cave system revealed pre-Hispanic archaeological sites of the ancient Maya, hidden shrines, and fossils of giant sloths. Yet the most fascinating find was the nearly complete skeleton of a teenage girl, believed to be one of the oldest in the Americas.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be telling anybody we found a flooded prehistoric mine.
For the ancient Maya, certain caves were considered sacred pilgrimage sites, where priests could go to communicate with the gods. But that's not all. Some were sites of sacrifice, like the chilling Midnight Terror Cave, where the bones of nearly 10,000 sacrificed children lay, offerings to Cheyak, the god of rain and lightning. These 2020 discoveries have rewritten the history books, providing a glimpse into a world that thrived years ago in America. Smoking rocks. An unrealistic beehive or an astonishing structure of geography, this giant black hydrothermal venting rock will definitely strike its viewers with awe. From the scientific perspective, this rock comprises one of the most life-fascinating chemosynthetic-based mechanisms. It, unlike other organisms, is not dependent on photosynthesis. Do you think 40 degrees Celsius is a hot temperature? Wait and watch until you witness it emitting smoke with a minimum temperature of 300 degrees Celsius. Surprisingly, the tiny animals and insects around enjoy crawling on the surface of this dark chimney. However, the exponentially growing white algae and amoeba make us remember none other but SpongeBob SquarePants. So far, you have seen many discoveries made by random divers at random places. Let's now talk about the intriguing truths revealed by Titanic remains. Titanic shoe remains. Even after decades, researchers are still on a quest to search the Titanic wreck for signs of the lost souls who once sailed on this iconic vessel. While human remains are elusive, a chilling discovery stands out: the remarkably preserved leather shoes.
Then when you go across the debris field, you come across these pairs of shoes.
Among them is a pair retrieved by the divers that belonged to a young boy. The sergeant who was responsible for guarding the belongings of the victims was too emotional and didn't have the heart to burn them.
My hands shake anytime I come close to these things, and I get a little bit of, hair stands up on the back of my neck.
They remained in his office drawer for 6 years until he retired. The identity of the child remained a sad riddle until advanced technology identified him as Sidney Goodwin, a 3-year-old boy traveling with his family. The Titanic may rust away, but its allure, like Sidney's tiny shoes, show no sign of fading from our collective imagination. Scented man. The generation of today knows Paris as the city of fragrances, but this story is of the time when New York was the hub of perfume shops. Adolphe Sulfeld, a 47-year-old perfume seller from Manchester, boarded on the Titanic to travel to America and introduce the best of his perfumes. Adolphe fortunately survived the calamity, but his bag full of scents was lost during the tragedy. However, during research, his leather bag with 65 perfume bottle samples, with 3 missing, was found lying deep on the ocean's bed.
Perfume vial with a stopper inside.
Many of them are intact, and a few cracked bottles still allow to smell the centuries-old fragrances. And love letter. Kate, a second-class passenger, had penned down this letter on April 10, 1912, in the most beautiful of her handwriting, to confess her raw feelings in black ink dedicated to Percy James. The letter gave an estimate of the people on board, which were mentioned to be 2,224, out of which 1,053 had already passed away. This gloomy piece of paper hints at various famous personalities, among whom a few perished away while providing confessions and solace. Kate was expressing seasickness, yet delighted and amazed by the services offered even in the second-class apartment. She had predicted the upcoming disaster as people around her had started to go missing. Mysterious Jenny. Thanks to the photographers of that time, due to whom we in the world of today know that pets like cats and dogs were also present on the Titanic. Pleasant to the eyes and pleasant to the ship was the famous ship cat called Jenny. Similar to other ship passengers, she was an equal passenger of the Titanic. Jenny's presence was as crucial as that of any other passenger. Knowing that cats can predict future mishaps, it is believed that she knew what was next. It became more obvious when Jenny, after becoming a mother, transported her litter to a safe place. But despite her God-gifted skill of predicting the future, her actual survival story remains a mystery for animal lovers. Entertaining Orchestra. An orchestra of 8, including its famous English bandmaster Wallace Hartley, along with the Scottish artist John LaHume, and their other team members including Gore Alexandra and Percy Taylor, all belonging to different backgrounds promoting the diversity of the human race, breathed their last while performing their noble task of providing solace to the ship passengers. It is said that they stayed loyal to their profession by singing till the very last moment. However, the debate among the survivors continues whether their last song was the Hymn of Autumn or Nearer My God to Thee, asking the Almighty for help in times of difficulty. Sacr Watch. If not the love letter, this love watch might impress you. The watch belonged to a nobleman called Siene, who had boarded the Titanic in 1912 with his 24-year-old beloved Miriam to pursue their profession in medicine. Hardly did they know it was their last journey together. However, Miriam was among the lucky ones who survived due to the women and children first policy. The watch, still considered to be such a valuable object in an auction, was priced at $57,500. The watch is still sacred for history and religious lovers, as it has Hebrew numerals and the 10 Commandments of Moses engraved on it. Missing key. Can you believe that this withered key found in the remains of the Titanic fetched a heavy amount of 885,000 pounds in an auction?
Thanks, I'm fine.
It belonged to a young 23-year-old crew member named Sidney Sednary from Shirley, Southampton. He was among those unlucky 1,500 passengers who gave up their lives when the ship hit the iceberg. The key at Deva's wheelchair auction was priced above 50,000 pounds. The copper tag on the key, labeled Locker 14F deck, hinted that Sidney during that stormy night was present in the F apartment which got drenched in the ocean. Later, the key was handed over to Sidney's wife Madge and remained in their air room until they shifted to another home. Ill-fated mummy. The discovery of the mummy in the Titanic is a treat for history lovers, but that's not the complete history. History admirers may not be happy to hear that this mummy got accused of getting the ship wrecked because of its ill fortune. In various researches conducted by archaeologists, it was concluded that the extra indulgence of the mummy in the musical orchestra annoyed nature. Ultimately, the disaster out of constant disturbance was invited to the ship, and the rest is known by all. The mummy, even in the times of today, lies in the British Museum, visited by thousands of tourists daily to learn the consequences of extreme passion. Conspiracist Man. J.P. Morgan, a renowned financier and the owner of International Mercantile Marine Company, was expected to be one of the greatest socializers on the ship until his last-minute cancellation of the voyage. It was stated that he failed to join the journey due to health issues, but later it was found out that he was enjoying spa services. Morgan's affiliation with ship companies and business dealings made his actions suspicious, as people judged him as wicked who conspired against the ship companies as well as other business rivals of his time to win the race without the presence of any opponents. Another hypothetical theory related Morgan with the 1898 novel titled Futility, and claimed that Morgan was influenced by this certain novel. Well, theories are merely theories and hence are still being scrutinized in the thirst for truth. Hat of City Gents. Made out of stiff felt material, the bowler hat peacefully resting under the ocean as a proud creation of its creator was retrieved in 1993. Symbolizing reliability and practicality, the bowler hat was common in the early 1800s among the middle working class. Its design was made in a particular way to disrupt any disturbance by the lower branches while horse riding. Later in the 1900s, it became a major sign of status when bankers started wearing it. You have seen such caps in the old Hollywood movies and have admired them, and probably that is why it is known as the Hat of City Gents. Olden fur coat. After a century of solidifying the presence of Titanic remnants, this old fur coat of a maiden named Bennett was found. Yes, Bennett was among the lucky survivors who lived till 1974. She, throughout her remaining life, kept this coat very close to her heart, and later on gave it to her great niece. You might think that this fur coat is not that cool, but trust me, it got priced up to $80,000 in an auction in 1999. It was later kept in a U.S. museum inside the replica of a first-class cabin before being sent to another auction. Legendary life jacket. Crafted from linen and cork, the life jacket still looks presentable and is out of the 6 life jackets still displayed in the museum. It made its appearance at the 110th anniversary of the Titanic incident, aligning with the dates of the Titanic Belfast tourist attraction. Titanic being the production of White Star Line, the most famous and lavish ship company of its time, displayed the jacket for the first time at the Museum of Ireland. Thanks to Robert Edwards, the master of the cable ships, which were appointed for the emergencies and the grim duty of dealing with post-accidental consequences, the jacket was safely brought offshore along with its owner. Tragic survivor. Now let's meet Father Francis Brown, a lucky man. At first, in 1912, he was given the first-class ticket of Titanic by his uncle as a gift. He embraced it and leaped onto the voyage, enjoying its perks to the fullest. Being a human who loved to capture and hold onto memories, he clicked many peculiar photographs of the lavish interior of the ship. Not only this, but his photography camera also had the only photos of Captain Edward John Smith and his crew who were inspecting the lifeboats. Brown's luck proved to be favored once again when he, just before the ship sank, was instructed to get off at Queenstown. Hence, Brown is among those rare beings who traveled on Titanic and departed safe and sound timely. Famous bridge bell. This ancient Titanic bridge bell was discovered in 1985 by Dr. Robert Ballard during an expedition anchoring Titanic's remains. The discovery of this bell was proof that the ringing tradition traces back to the early 1900s. Upon putting forth the happenings and events during Titanic's journey, it was found that the bell was not a mediocre one. It was the same bell that Frederick Fleet rang thrice before the final destruction began. The bell is still present in the Titanic Museum, situated in Massachusetts, where tourists come and witness its dutiful policy of staying loyal to its owners. The bell also bestows Fleet with a remarkable personality who had sensed the danger beforehand, employing his binoculars and warning the passengers around. Sadly, the Fleet did not remain the same after the traumatizing incident and departed in 1965. Fiancé's gift. Violins are considered to be the epitome of human sentiments and make one full of emotions and inspirations. The violin discovered happened to be made by the Italian masters Amati and Stradivari and narrated the love story of a German couple in 1910. Maria Robinson gifted her fiancé, Wallace Hartley, a violin on the happy occasion of their engagement. The special violin had engraved on it, "For Hartley, on the occasion of our engagement." Not only did the fragile-hearted girl know that this violin one day would become a symbol of their eternal love, lying silent in the Titanic Museum of Tennessee, she had yet to witness many happy moments of togetherness. Brittanic. Are you one of those who believes in switch theories? If yes, then this part of the video is not to be skipped. Rarely do people know about Brittanic. It was considered to be the twin of Titanic due to their rhyming names and similar working mechanisms. Interestingly, both brothers met a tragic ending and skeptics had their say. The matter was heated but not factualized until 1916 when Brittanic suffocated in water. Unlike Titanic, Brittanic did not drown after hitting an iceberg, but was destroyed due to its aggressive contact with an unexpected coal mine. The prevailing steam evaporated after facing these facts, but conspiracy theorists were still adamant that the inherently dark nature of Titanic was not to be let go of easily. Defamed survivor. Meet Masabumu Hano, a famous Japanese journalist who was on his way back to Japan, coincidentally boarded the Titanic but landed safe and sound. Being a socially famous personality, his survival story was converted into his tragic downfall. The people of Japan accused and defamed him of being selfish during the calamity by only saving himself and letting his fellow women and children drown. Masabumi, who had once thought that he had become a tragic hero by surviving the wrecked ship, actually became a defamed survivor. Not much is known about his later life activities. 390904 Puzzle. The construction, working mechanisms, and structure of the Titanic have always been a major subject of discussion by curious Avengers. On analyzing the wrecked ship, the number 390904 was found scrambled on its side wall, which led to a flood of commentaries. Out of many, the most canny was the one from a religious perspective. They blamed the Protestants for having done this on purpose, and now were bearing the consequences of their blasphemous action. However, a few had their interpretation according to the odds and even numbers, inculcating their theories of good and bad luck charms, leading to a plethora of confusion, but still keeping the mystery of Titanic intact. Enormous offcut. In August 1998, a 15-ton ancient heavy piece that was mistaken for being a rock unexpectedly turned out to be a cut-off from the Titanic incident dated back in 1912. The white, yellow, and black paint, which once glowed, still tried its best to maintain its grace. The huge piece was found not only to be unique for its majestic size, but also for the minute structures it consisted of. For example, the 300 iron plates with holes placed 1.5 meters apart from each other were ranked as the ribs of the Titanic. The offcut part of Titanic ranged from C deck to D deck on the starboard side. Not only this, but it also highlighted the living apartments ranging from C78 to C81, doors to washrooms and windows for the first and second class kitchens, and storage rooms for special glassware, all hinting at the lavish lifestyle of the Titanic sailors. Nostalgic plates. In 1985, a French team, after constant 9 hours of drill, discovered lost crockery from the wrecking of the Titanic. The evidence was provided by snaps taken by a robot sent underwater in a submarine. Although it was considered to be taboo to make money out of objects retrieved from natural disasters in the 1980s, the current materialistic globe did not bother it and displayed the plates proudly in a museum. However, the sentiments of Titanic survivors were extremely disappointed at this. Being sensitive to survivor sentiments, the findings were not taken out of the site and kept lying underwater. Megalodon tooth. This part of the video discusses a team that sent submarines underwater and clicked an enormous number of 700,000 images. The purpose of those images was to construct a 3D model at Richard Parkinson's site. While dissecting the images, an elegantly beautiful necklace was found lying among the debris of the bedroom area of the Titanic. It was made of megalodon tooth hung on a gold chain decorated with blue beads. It could have been sold at a very handsome price if the agreement between the US and UK had not decided to not remove anything from the Titanic site. Bottle with a note. Evidence of communication was found 105 years later after the Titanic tragedy. A young third-class passenger, Matilda, had written this letter on the 13th of April. She, along with her 3 brothers and mother on board, had vanished from the scene completely after the sinking of the ship. However, the signatures made it clear that the letter was written by someone named Matilda. Interestingly, the handwriting style of the note did not match with the French handwriting of that era. The Canadian shore is active in figuring out the authenticity of this note, as Nicholas Baudry stated that computer simulations suggest that many items thrown into the Atlantic on that scary night ended up on European streams, whereas some might have been driven to North America. Open discussion. Everyone's a winner when it comes to exploring the water bodies, because you never return without a shocking discovery. This time, a dark blue cargo worth $300,000. Yes, you heard it right, $300,000 was discovered under the ocean and brought to the Australian shore. It is believed that the cargo sank during the massive shipping of 80 containers in 2018, when most of them, due to a tragic water turbulence, fell into the water and failed to be retrieved. It was nearly after 2 years when the remains were looked back using underwater robots and special retrieval boats from Singapore. It is estimated that 11 containers have been brought back filled with old tires and cardboard in huge amounts, proving to be a handsome source of income for the nearby fishermen. Interesting fact! The findings are coming for 20 million Australian dollars, but the ocean discoverers cannot stop themselves from scouting more and more. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.